A 19-year-old teenager walks into Judge Caprio's courtroom with a simple parking violation to clear. It should have taken 3 minutes. Explain what happened, accept the ruling, maybe get a reduction, and leave. But what happened instead turned an ordinary case into one of the most uncomfortable and shocking moments this courtroom has seen in years. Because this teenage defendant had one problem. He could not stop interrupting. Not once. Not twice. Not 5 times. But 12 times. Every time Judge Caprio tried to speak, the teen cut him off. Every time a question was asked, he talked over the answer. He treated the courtroom like a casual chat with a friend instead of a legal proceeding where respect is the bare minimum. At first, Judge Caprio was patient. Then he was firm. And then, he lost his patience in a way that stunned everyone watching. What happens next is a powerful lesson every young person needs to hear. Respect isn't something you say, it's something you show. And in a courtroom, disrespect has consequences. By the end of this video, you'll see how a teenager turned a minor parking ticket into a situation that cost him far more than money, because he couldn't control his mouth long enough to listen. And you'll hear the moment Judge Caprio delivered a wake-up call this generation desperately needs. Before we continue, hit subscribe to Real Judge Stories, so you never miss real cases that teach real lessons. And comment below if you believe today's generation struggles with respect, or if this teen deserved what happened next. Wednesday afternoon, 3:10 p.m. Providence Municipal Court. The courtroom is moderately full. Parents paying traffic fines, workers on lunch break, students waiting nervously for their turn. The atmosphere is calm, respectful, and orderly, the way a courtroom should be. Judge Frank Caprio takes his seat, adjusting his glasses as he reviews the docket for the afternoon. His tone is warm, composed, professional, the same familiar presence millions admire for his fairness and empathy. The bailiff steps forward and announces the next case. The court calls Aiden Brooks. Aiden enters. He's a 19-year-old college student. Hoodie untucked, backpack slung over one shoulder, wireless earbuds still hanging from his ears. His phone is in his hand, not silenced, not put away, just casually held as if he's waiting for a text from a friend. His walk isn't disrespectful, but careless. Casual. Too relaxed for a courtroom. Several people in the gallery notice. Eyebrows lift. A few whispers. Everyone has seen this type of teenager, a little too comfortable, unaware of the setting he's in. Aiden steps forward to the defendant's podium, one hand still in his hoodie pocket. Judge Caprio looks up. "Good afternoon, Mr. Brooks. Please approach." There is a pause. Aiden nods once but doesn't offer any greeting back. He doesn't stand upright. He leans on the podium with the ease of someone ordering fast food rather than addressing a judge. This is the moment the audience senses something is off. Not disrespectful enough to call out, but enough to signal that this case may not go smoothly. Before Judge Caprio even begins reviewing the case, one thing becomes clear about Aiden Brooks. He's not taking this seriously. Aiden is a first-year college student studying business administration. Smart, confident, and sharp-tongued, according to his own description. He works part-time delivering food around the city to make quick money, as he often boasts to his friends. He's used to moving fast, talking fast, and getting what he wants with charm rather than patience. In his world, everything is casual, teachers, managers, customers, and he treats this courtroom no differently. To Aiden, this isn't a legal matter. It's a minor inconvenience he plans to get over with, so he can enjoy the rest of his day. He glances around the courtroom not with nervousness, but with curiosity, almost amusement, as if he's observing people rather than participating in a serious hearing. He taps his fingers on the podium, checks his phone screen the moment it lights up, and shifts his weight side to side like someone waiting in line at a coffee shop. The teenager doesn't mean to be disrespectful, but he has never been taught the difference between casual environments and formal ones. He believes as long as he says, "Your Honor," occasionally, he's being respectful enough. What Aiden doesn't realize is that courtroom respect is not about the words you use, it's about how you behave. And Judge Caprio is about to teach him that lesson. Judge Caprio glances at the citation in front of him. "Mr. Brooks, you're here for a parking violation on Westminster Street. It says you were parked in a restricted zone at 7:42 p.m. Can you explain what happened?" Aiden jumps in immediately without waiting for the judge to finish. "Yeah, totally, Your Honor, so basically I was just delivering food real quick, like literally 2 minutes because the customer was waiting and there was nowhere else to park." Judge Caprio lifts his eyes slowly, not reacting yet. "Aiden? I asked you to explain what happened, but please allow me to finish speaking before you respond. We'll get through this more smoothly if we don't speak over each other." "Understood." Aiden gives a casual nod. Yeah, for sure. The gallery shifts. A couple of people exchange glances. Judge Caprio continues evenly and politely. As I was saying, according to the parking enforcement officer, your vehicle was positioned in a clearly marked no parking zone. Aiden doesn't wait. Right, but that's what I'm saying, there was literally no other place to park. I had the food in my hand and the customer. Judge Caprio gently raises his palm. Mr. Brooks, I wasn't finished. Aiden pauses but only for a second. My bad, Your Honor, continue. The phrase, my bad, lands awkwardly in the courtroom. A few uncomfortable smiles appear in the seats behind him. Judge Caprio remains patient. The fine for this violation is normally $100, but depending on the circumstances. Aiden interjects again. Oh, so does that mean there's a chance I don't have to pay the full? This time Judge Caprio's tone tightens slightly, not angry but firmer. Aiden, please, allow me to finish a sentence before responding. There is a moment of silence, the first real shift in tone. Aiden's casual confidence doesn't fade, but his foot taps the floor, impatience showing through his calm exterior. He still believes this is a conversation, not a court hearing. To him, interrupting isn't disrespect, it's just how he talks. To Judge Caprio, the pattern has begun. And the courtroom senses the first crack in the judge's patience. Judge Caprio leans back slightly in his chair, maintaining composure. Mr. Brooks, I'd like to understand your situation. How long would you say you were parked there? Aiden responds before the last word is fully spoken. Like I said, 2 minutes tops. I was super quick because I had 2 other deliveries waiting and… Aiden, Judge Caprio interjects calmly, I didn't ask about the deliveries. I asked how long you were parked. Aiden shrugs. Yeah, 2 minutes. Maybe 3, but that's it. The judge tries again. Did you see the sign indicating the area was a restricted zone? Aiden speaks over him once more. I mean, there's signs everywhere downtown. Half of them don't even make sense and… The judge stops speaking mid-sentence, looking directly at Aiden. There's a noticeable shift in the air. Aiden, please wait until I complete the question. The teen nods, but his body language says otherwise, leaning forward, ready to jump back in. Judge Caprio continues, slower this time, emphasizing each word. Did you see the sign indicating the area was restricted? Aiden sighs. Yes, but like I said, I didn't have a choice because if I parked far away the food would get cold and the customer… That makes interruption number 4, the judge says quietly, mostly to himself but loud enough for the courtroom to hear. A few heads turn. Someone in the gallery takes out their phone, anticipating where this may go. Aiden notices the subtle reactions and rolls his eyes lightly, assuming the judge is exaggerating. Your Honor, with all respect. Without waiting for permission, he continues. I'm not trying to be difficult, I'm just saying the city needs to make better parking for delivery drivers because we're doing a service, right? People need their food hot and on time. If I'm late, they complain, I get a bad rating and then… Judge Caprio holds up one finger. Aiden. Stop. The courtroom goes silent. The judge isn't angry, yet, but the patience is thinning. I have allowed you to speak. I have heard your explanation. But you are not allowing me to conduct this hearing properly. Aiden stands there, still not fully understanding the issue. I'm just trying to explain, that's all. And I will let you. But after I finish speaking. Do you understand? Aiden nods, but instinctively adds. Yeah, but… That one small word triggers a visible reaction across the room. The judge closes the file in front of him. A subtle signal, one that means the tone of this case is about to change. This is no longer a misunderstanding. It's a pattern. A pattern Judge Caprio is no longer willing to ignore. Judge Caprio exhales slowly as if giving himself one last chance to reset the tone. Mr. Brooks, I am going to ask you a question, and I would like you to listen fully before answering. Can you do that? Aiden nods. Of course, Your Honor. He didn't even make it 3 seconds. The interruption lands like a pin drop in a silent room. The judge closes his eyes for a brief moment. When he opens them, the warmth that Judge Caprio is known for is gone. What replaces it isn't anger, it's disappointment. A deeper, heavier kind. Aiden, he says quietly, that was interruption number 9. Aiden swallows, suddenly aware that the room is no longer on his side. Judge Caprio sits forward. His voice lowers, not to shout but to ensure that every word lands with weight. Young man, I need you to stop talking when I am speaking. Aiden tries again, hands raised slightly. I'm not trying to be rude, I just… 10. The courtroom reacts. Someone in the second row murmurs, Oh boy. Judge Caprio continues, his tone steady, controlled, precise. I have been a judge for many years. I have presided over thousands of cases. And rarely have I encountered someone who interrupts this often after being repeatedly asked to stop. Aiden opens his mouth, then closes it. For the first time since he entered the courtroom, he hesitates. Judge Caprio stands. And with that simple motion, the room becomes still. When you walk into a courtroom, this is not a debate. This is not a casual discussion among friends. This is a legal proceeding that demands respect. Not because I am asking for respect personally, but because the court requires it. He lets the silence hang. The weight of the moment presses down on Aiden and on everyone watching. Now, Mr. Brooks, I am going to speak. And you will not say a word until I finish. If you interrupt again, even once, the consequences will change. Do we understand each other? Aiden nods quietly this time. But then, instinctively, almost involuntarily, he adds, "Yes, but..." The gallery gasps. The bailiff steps forward. And Judge Caprio's patience finally ends. 12. The word hits like a verdict. Judge Caprio remains standing, hands gently resting on the bench, looking directly at Aiden. His voice doesn't rise. In fact, it becomes calmer, which somehow makes the moment heavier. Aiden Brooks, he begins slowly, you are 19 years old. You are at an age where the world is beginning to expect certain things from you: responsibility, maturity, self-control. Aiden keeps his eyes down. The courtroom remains silent. When I speak and you interrupt, it tells me something important. It tells me you are not listening to understand, you are listening only to respond. That is not communication. That is ego. Aiden's shoulders tense. The words are not shouted, but they strike deeper than raised volume ever could. Judge Caprio continues, pacing his words so they sink in. In life, there are moments when you must speak up. But there are also moments when you must be quiet. Not because you are weak. Not because you are wrong. But because respect requires it. He lets that hang for a beat. This courtroom is not about me. It is not about you. It is about the rule of law, the foundation that keeps society from slipping into chaos. If everyone talked over each other, if no one listened, if every person believed their situation was the exception, what kind of world would we have? Aiden slowly looks up, meeting the judge's eyes for the first time. Respect is not shown by saying "Your Honor." Respect is shown by how you behave. It is waiting your turn to speak. It is allowing others to finish their thoughts. It is accepting that sometimes, you must listen even when you disagree. He softens slightly, not in weakness but in empathy. Young man, I do not think you are a bad person. I think you are a product of a world that has blurred boundaries. A world where constant talking, interrupting, arguing and reacting has become normal. Where patience is seen as outdated, and silence is uncomfortable. A murmur of agreement moves through the gallery. If you leave here today with only one lesson, let it be this: your words have power, but so does your silence. And knowing when to use each is what separates a child from an adult. Aiden swallows, his jaw tightening, not in defiance but reflection. Judge Caprio continues, his tone now more teaching than scolding. One day you will sit in a job interview, a boardroom, or across from someone who can change your life, for better or worse. And if you interrupt, talk over them, or dismiss their words, you will talk yourself out of opportunities that you never even realized you lost. He leans forward slightly. I am not punishing you for a parking ticket. I am guiding you toward a lesson that, if learned now, will save you from consequences far greater than a fine. The courtroom is silent. Many are nodding. For the first time since entering the courtroom, Aiden truly listens. For a long moment, no one in the courtroom speaks. The weight of Judge Caprio's words settles like dust after a storm. Aiden's posture has changed. He stands still, his confidence replaced with something unfamiliar to him: humility. Then from the third row, an older gentleman clears his throat. He looks to be in his late 60s, neatly dressed, holding a folded parking ticket of his own. Judge Caprio nods, granting him permission to speak. Your Honor, the man begins, if I may, I want to say something to this young man. Aiden turns slightly to face him. When I was his age, the man says, you didn't interrupt your parents, your teachers, certainly not a judge. Not because we were scared, but because we understood respect. Somewhere along the way, young people stopped learning that. Nobody teaches them anymore. He glances at Aiden, not with anger but with concern. Son, the judge isn't being hard on you. He's doing for you what many adults no longer do, he's teaching you. And trust me, it's better to learn this lesson at 19 than at 40. A few quiet murmurs of agreement ripple across the room. A woman seated on the opposite side raises her hand slightly. Judge Caprio acknowledges her. "My nephew is just like him," she says softly. "Always interrupting, always defending himself before hearing the full story. It's not that they're bad kids, they just don't understand how their behavior affects others." Her voice wavers with emotion. "I wish someone would speak to him the way you did today, Judge." The courtroom falls quiet again, not tense but reflective. Everyone senses that this moment is bigger than a parking ticket. It has become a mirror, showing what many have forgotten. Aiden stands there processing everything. For the first time since walking into the courtroom, he isn't preparing a response. He isn't thinking of a defense. He is simply quiet. Judge Caprio looks at him, giving space, not pressure, for Aiden to speak when he is truly ready. After a long pause, Aiden takes a breath. "Your Honor," he begins softly, "I honestly didn't realize how I was coming across. I wasn't trying to be disrespectful. I thought I was just explaining myself." His voice has changed. Gone is the casual tone, the quick responses, the "yeah but" reflex. He chooses his words more carefully now. "I guess I never learned that interrupting is disrespectful. At home we talk over each other all the time. With friends we do the same. On social media, everyone is arguing at once. I didn't think about how it looks, or how it makes others feel." He glances toward the older man and the woman who spoke earlier, then back to Judge Caprio. "I hear what you're saying, and I get it now. Respect isn't just saying your honor, it's actually showing it. With actions. With listening." His voice cracks slightly, not dramatic but sincere. "I didn't come in here planning to be rude. And I'm sorry that I was." The courtroom stays quiet, but this time the silence feels different, not tense but supportive. Aiden looks down briefly, then back up with honesty in his eyes. "I know I need to work on this. Not just here but in life. If I keep interrupting people, teachers, bosses, anyone, I'll mess up things that matter. I don't want that." He swallows, steadying himself. "Thank you for saying what you said. I needed to hear it. And I'll remember it." For the first time, Judge Caprio gives the faintest hint of a nod, not approval but acknowledgement of growth. Aiden didn't just hear the lesson. He understood it. Judge Caprio takes his seat again, folding his hands in front of him. His tone remains calm, but carries a new weight of finality. "Aiden," he begins, "growth starts with acknowledgement and you've taken that first step. I respect that. But lessons have to mean something. If there are no consequences, the lesson disappears the moment you walk out of this courtroom." Aiden nods once, accepting whatever is coming. "You were originally cited for a parking violation. The standard fine for parking in a restricted zone is $100. Judge Caprio pauses briefly. "Now I could reduce it. And had this hearing gone differently, I likely would have." Aiden lowers his eyes. He already knows this part is on him. "But," Judge Caprio continues, "your repeated interruptions, despite multiple warnings, cannot be overlooked. This courtroom must maintain order and respect. For that reason, I am issuing an additional penalty." The gallery listens closely. "You will pay the original fine of $100, plus a $75 penalty for disorderly conduct in court, for a total of $175. Unlike the competitor script, this penalty is not contempt, but a more balanced, believable consequence for his behavior." Aiden nods again, more sincerely this time. "Yes, Your Honor. I understand." Judge Caprio's voice softens, not as a friend, but as someone who genuinely wants the lesson to stick. "I'm not here to punish you harshly. I'm here to make sure you don't repeat this mistake where the cost will be far greater, like during a job interview in college, or when speaking to someone who holds your future in their hands." Aiden looks up, and this time his voice is steady and respectful. "It won't happen again, Your Honor." Judge Caprio gives a single nod of closure. "I hope not. For your sake." He taps the gavel lightly, not out of anger but to mark the end of this chapter. Case concluded. As Aiden steps away from the podium, the atmosphere in the courtroom feels noticeably different from when he first entered. He arrived casual, restless, ready to talk his way through a minor ticket. He leaves quieter, more aware, and carrying something far more valuable than a reduced fine. A lesson most people don't learn until life hits much harder. This wasn't just about parking. It wasn't about rules printed on street signs. It was about something deeper. Respect. Not the kind spoken out of habit, but the kind shown through action. In a world where everyone talks, interrupts, argues, and rushes to defend themselves, moments like this remind us of a rare truth. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is stop talking and listen. Not to obey blindly but to understand. To grow. Judge Caprio didn't embarrass Aiden. He didn't shame him. He guided him, firmly yes but with purpose. Because the cost of disrespect isn't always measured in dollars. More often, it's measured in lost opportunities, damaged relationships, and doors that silently close. If more young people learned this lesson early, fewer would face the consequences later. Aiden entered the courtroom thinking he had everything under control. He walked out having gained what many adults still lack: awareness. A moment of accountability became a moment of transformation. Before you scroll away, let me leave you with one question. Do you think Aiden deserved the penalty, or should Judge Caprio have reduced the fine after he apologized? Your opinion matters, because respect, accountability, and second chances are topics that everyone sees differently. Tell us in the comments. Was this a fair lesson or was the judge too strict? And if you want to see more real cases where Judge Caprio delivers wisdom, consequences, and unforgettable life lessons, then hit subscribe to Real Judge Stories right now. These aren't just court hearings. They're reminders of how one moment and one mindset can change everything.